Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. If you've ever stared at a totally blank academic calendar and wondered how on earth you're going to guide a classroom full of diverse learners through an entire year of math, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're focusing on something incredibly practical and truly transformative, the TS Smart ninth class mathematics unit plans. We're going to unpack these plans and see how they can completely streamline your lesson preparation, turning all that complex curriculum mapping into a really clear, actionable journey. Okay, let's dive into this. Right at the beginning of our source document, we find this incredibly powerful quote. Teaching plan is a compass for effective teaching learning process. And I just absolutely love this metaphor. Think about it. A compass doesn't walk the path for you, right? And it certainly doesn't force you down some rigid track regardless of the terrain. Instead, it provides a reliable, constant direction. It keeps you oriented. In the dynamic and, let's face it, sometimes unpredictable environment of a real classroom, a good unit plan serves as that true north. It ensures that no matter what detours you take to help a struggling student, you always know exactly where you're heading. So this teaching plan is built on three fundamental pillars: what to teach, why to teach, and how to teach. We're going to use this exact framework today. By the end of this explainer, the goal is to help shift your perspective from being just a simple instructor, someone who merely delivers facts, into a mentor who actively guides student discovery. When you really nail down the what, why, and how, you stop just lecturing and you start facilitating real, deep mathematical understanding. To get us there, here's our agenda. Basically, our own lesson plan for the next few minutes. We'll hit mapping your academic year, assessing foundational knowledge, the daily instructional flow, and finally, tracking student mastery. Let's start with Section 1, Mapping Your Academic Year, where we balance instruction and discovery. Now, before we can even look at a single daily lesson, we have to take a macro view of the entire academic year to see how these massive curriculum standards are mapped out onto specific, tangible teaching days. Take a look at the ratio here. Out of the whole academic year, the plan allocates 118 teaching periods and 103 practice periods. That is a near even split. And this powerfully illustrates a core philosophy of the TSMR unit plans. Student-led mathematical discovery is just as crucial as direct instruction. You aren't meant to just be talking at them for 90% of the year. Almost half of your classroom time is explicitly dedicated to students getting their hands dirty with the math, practicing and discovering the concepts for themselves. And, this macro-level balance applies beautifully to the micro-level individual units as well. For example, the real numbers unit gets 12 teaching periods and 11 practice periods. Polynomials, 11 teaching, 11 practice. Probability, 5 teaching and 3 practice. This ensures that time management is built directly into your overarching timeline. You literally don't have to guess how long a unit should take or worry if you're giving enough practice time, because the structural framework is already carefully balanced for you. Moving right along to Section 2, Assessing Foundational Knowledge. This is all about bridging the gap. We're zooming in now from that big yearly view to the specific unit view. Before you even teach day one of a new topic, you have to prepare for the diverse learning paces and the vastly different prior knowledge of your students. Just ask yourself, how often do you explicitly check for specific prerequisite knowledge before starting a unit? When approaching something like ninth grade polynomials, the plan clearly dictates the prerequisites. Students must understand variables, constant terms, and the addition of variables. If a student doesn't have those building blocks, well, the new unit is just going to sound like a foreign language to them. Checking this is an absolutely crucial step to support students coming in with varied background knowledge. We can actually see this methodology applied across all subjects in the source material. For instance, before diving into statistics, the plan points out that students have to know how to use tally marks and understand basic frequency. Assessing these foundational prerequisites early allows you to modify your lesson plans dynamically. If you realize half the class doesn't remember tally marks, you simply pivot. You spend a practice period reviewing that foundational concept so that everyone is on an even playing field before you introduce all the complex statistics. Okay, Section 3, the daily instructional flow. Let's look at step-by-step classroom management. So, we've looked at the year, we've looked at the unit prerequisites. Now let's explore the actionable steps for your period-by-period daily classroom management. The really crucial point here is having a repeatable, reliable workflow. The T-SMART plans advocate for a standard 4-step daily instructional sequence. Step 1, teach the concept. Step 2, group classroom practice, where the students actually collaborate. Step 3, individual problem solving to test personal comprehension. And finally, step 4, assign home practice. This sequence is brilliantly designed to facilitate active student participation. You, as the teacher, introduce the idea, but the cognitive heavy lifting very quickly shifts over to the students. But let's be real for a moment. We all know classrooms are completely unpredictable. What happens when you're in step 2 or 3 and your real-time feedback reveals that the students are just completely lost? What if they just don't grasp the concept that day? Well, this source material has a built-in safeguard for exactly this highly realistic scenario. Right in the instructions for the teacher diary, it explicitly states, if students not understand the concept, this period should be continued. It literally tells you to write "to be continued" in your diary. This emphasizes that this unit plan isn't some rigid chain holding you down. It is a flexible, living document. You're empowered, and honestly expected, to adjust your pacing based on real-time feedback. You never leave students behind just to stay on schedule. Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, tracking student mastery, ensuring those learning outcomes. We have a great daily workflow now, but how do we ensure that workflow actually results in the educational goals we want? How do we know the learning is sticking? It starts by defining incredibly clear learning outcomes for every single lesson. It's not just learn polynomials. The outcomes are specific. Ask yourself, can the student solve the problem? Can they provide reasoning? Can they explain the process out loud? And can they apply this math to a daily life situation? Setting these super specific outcomes gives both you and your students a very clear destination for your daily journey. And this brilliantly illustrates the true purpose of the teacher diary. It's definitely not just an administrative chore. It is a vital tool for formative assessment. At the end of the lesson, you evaluate, were these specific outcomes completed successfully, or do they require review? This consistent evaluation is what actually helps you track true mastery. It allows you to refine your instructional approach over time and immediately identify which students are going to require some extra guidance tomorrow. It's also really worth noting that this framework, along with the essential academic resources, teaching tools, and shared practices that come with it, was designed by the Telangana State Mathematics Academic Resource Team, or TSMART. By standardizing this structured approach, teachers across the state can share resources, give feedback on what's working, refine their unit plans together, and maintain incredibly high educational standards, all while keeping the flexibility that is so needed for individual classrooms. So let's quickly summarize this actionable workflow. Step 1, map the year, ensuring a near equal balance of teaching and practice periods. Step 2, always verify prerequisite knowledge before starting a unit to support diverse backgrounds. Step 3, follow that 4-step daily instructional flow to foster active participation. And step 4, adjust dynamically using the teacher diary for formative assessment. Just remember, you are a mentor equipped with a highly reliable compass, not just a lecturer reading from a script. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to carry into your classroom. Knowing that you have this structured yet highly flexible framework at your disposal, how will you adjust your teaching compass tomorrow to turn your students from passive listeners into active mathematical discoverers? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy teaching!